Oh, good morning, my Teaser King family. How be everybody today? I hope you are well. Oh, my phone. You put it in your pocket or something, it gets all like blurry. There we go. All right. So, I've been talking about problem solving a lot lately. I think it's very important uh, because I think it's every day. Um, I think it's critical. So let's look at our our gold back to 5,000 was 5,002 when I came on. It's still like 5,000. It'll jump up. And silver roughly at 78. All right, down to 77, 73. It'll bounce back up. So what the hell is going on here? Well, let's analyze it. What that's the whole point of the class, right? Is asking the questions, trying to understand it, trying to analyze, um, trying to figure out the whole investment sphere, the whole problem solving. Investments go from stocks and bonds to real estate trusts to land to gold and silver to Bitcoin to sports betting to casino gambling. And that's what we're looking at. So you really have to understand, if you're going to invest, so you make money, you want to invest it, right? I got my dollar. Where am I going to put it? And what you want to look at is what is your lowest risk and your highest return. That's really what you're trying to establish here. Now, you don't really know. I don't know every stock. I understand stocks. I understand bonds, real estate trusts. You're just buying mortgages. And then you got Bitcoin, which isn't real, gold and silver, which we understand thoroughly, sports betting, we understand very well, and poker, we understand very well. Blackjack, craps, roulette, baccarat, we understand that very well. So we can talk about casino games and sports betting and poker, which is a casino game. And we can talk about gold and silver, which we talk endlessly on because it's very confusing why there's a paper market versus a physical. Stocks, we understand they're all corrupt. A lot of the problem is the banks are very corrupt. The JP Morgans, especially, are the worst. And they're very corrupt. They get involved with Madoff. They price fix gold and silver. They do all these things that makes them money, but they're all illegal. So this is the problem with them. But most people don't know that. You have your health issues. You try to fast a little bit. You try not to eat too much sugar. If you do eat sugar, you try to eat it in one day, and that's it. Like it's a birthday, you have a piece of pie or an ice cream, but only for the day. So you get a small portion. They have those little portions of like chocolate cream pie where you get two little slices in the carton. Okay, fine. Have that. You just don't want to eat the whole pie or the whole ice cream or the whole cake or all these Oreos. So you get the little, there's 6 Oreo cookies in it versus the whole box, or the small Fruit Loops, or you get bored eating the same foods. I get bored eating a lot of vegetables every day. I keep having omelets, which include onions and broccoli and mushrooms and peppers, red, yellow, orange, green peppers. And then I throw my eggs on it. And when I make hamburgers, I put a hamburger in it. If I make chicken, I put a piece of chicken in it. I did that last night. And you do that a lot. And that keeps you very healthy because I'm putting in, the Celtic salt and the cayenne pepper in it and ginger and garlic and things like that. I'm putting in the eggs, so I'm being very healthy because you don't get that stuff in the regular food. They take it all out. So you're trying to be healthy that way, but you're analyzing it. We know fasting is very healthy for you. We know sugar causes cancer, and a lack of sugar. Alyssa asked me, she said, well, how do you not have cancer? I says, well, cancer needs sugar to survive. And if you don't eat sugar, cancer goes away. And she says, well, how do you do that? I says, well, that's why I do my 3-4 day fast, because I'm not eating anything for 4 days. So the sugar's not getting in there. And then I'm not eating ice cream and cake. And I'm not eating, when I normally eat, I don't eat any of that stuff. I don't eat cereals, bread. Bread's huge in sugar, all the carbs. You want to eat protein, not carb. You want to eat meat, chicken, hamburgers, steaks, fish. That's what you want to eat and avoid all the sugar foods, like a sandwich. You don't want to eat if I go to get a hamburger out, I take the bun away and I just eat the hamburger because the bun's all terrible. But, I feel a little bloated if I have a meal and then I revert back. Anyway, what's that got to do with investing? Well, you got to be healthy and clear-minded to invest. It's the same thing. You have to understand. So if we start at the stock market, well, we start, how much of investing do you understand? And most people probably don't understand anything. They think they might. Well, they're smart enough. I'll go into the stock market, or I'll go into my 401k at work. So you're smart enough to do that, but are you smart enough to pick the stocks, to analyze the companies, to look at their financial statements? More so, the economic standpoint. Is there supply and demand for this product? They're selling cars. Well, interest rates are high. The economy is tanking. Probably don't want to be in a car company now. But you got to know that about the economy. Well, we got massive inflation. Well, I probably don't want to be in things that are expensive. So right now I would be, if I was in the stock market, which I'm not, I'd be in, cookies and cereals and, pop and beer and things that are inexpensive that you need to eat because you're not buying cars now. You're not building a building. It's too expensive. So step one, you got to know your economics, which nobody does. You're lucky you got me, but that's it. And I'm not bragging when I say that. I just happen to realize I understand perfectly Austrian economics, and most people, they don't even understand inflation. Well, price is going up. No, it's not. So first thing is you have to learn it. So what do you hear in these poker players? Well, you got to practice for hours and hours and hours. And that's so they can learn. So yes, I practiced a long time, but I started playing poker when I was 12 years old. I'd play with my friends after school. It was mostly like 7th grade. So what was that? I was 12, 13. So let's say 13. And my friends would come over. My parents were divorced. My friends would come over. We played poker in the afternoon. I always seemed to have money, and I always were able to play poker. And so you play a lot, and then you realize a couple of things. There was one guy that played who folded, and then he would have a hand and he'd bet. He wasn't smart enough to bet without a hand. So as soon as he bet, everybody folded because we all knew he didn't have anything. Most of us were capable of kind of coming in with, a Jack 10 or 5, 6 of spades, and looking for the flops or the draws or whatever. We would play a lot of 7 card stud high low. That was my favorite game. And then 727 and games like that, which taught you about betting habits that people have. That's why I'm so A, intuitive, but B, I don't really watch the people. I watch the bets. Now, some people, there was a hand that um, I get a straight flush, and we're playing 7 card stud, I think with a spit, which I liked. So that was one community card, not 5. That's bullshit. One community card, and I get a straight flush, like 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen of clubs. But the guy next to me has a couple of diamonds, like Jack, Queen, King, or something. And on the river, he gets the royal flush and screams. He's like, yes, and I'm like, oh, okay, obvious tell, right? What else could he have gotten? It's not like he had 3 kings on board. So he had to have a royal flush. Okay. Well, the dog from hell. Can't wait till these people leave April 1st. I mean, how rude are they? The dog always barks. Go train your fucking dog. So he jumps up and yells. He's like, yeah, well, obviously he got the royal flush, but he told me that. He told me his hand. Now I have a straight flush. I'm not an idiot. I see this guy. The only card that could have given him to him was like the ace of diamonds or the 10 of diamonds, which would have given him a higher straight flush, royal flush. So I check. He bets whatever, $2, $3, whatever we were betting, and I call. And I don't say a word, and I flip over my straight flush, and he flips over his royal flush, and he's looking at me like, how did you know? Well, the fact you jumped out of your chair 10 feet in the air, screaming, showing me that you had a good hand. And I learned from there that people will tell you your cards mostly, but you've got to be aware other people are watching you. And that part they never really understood. I would always play off the players. The players would tell me, these are 14, 15, 16-year-old buddies of mine, but they'd always tell me by the way they bet. They really wouldn't show a lot of emotion except for this one crazy guy. And then the guy who always folded and then he'd bet. So you knew he had a hand. But they're telling you that those are the tells that they talk about. Now, as you advance, they don't show you those tells, but it's always the bet, right? So I had the guy just sat there quietly and bet his $2, $3, $5, whatever we were playing with his royal flush. I would have had to call with my straight flush. I can't fold it, but it cut me from making a re-raise. It was like, okay, I know he's got a royal flush. I'm just going to call. Even though I had a straight flush, I'm just going to call. And as I said, I lost like, $5 on a hand that I could have lost 50 or 60. But just the idea. So that you learn by playing. You learn by looking at the other guys. You learn by looking at what do they have? What is their, are they going to tell me what they have? Or are they going to show me on their bets? Mostly they show me on their bets. But one guy would bet and I'd fold, and he'd like, how do you know what I have? And it was so simple, because you bet. And when you don't bet and check, you don't have anything. So I would win all the time, basically reading the people's bets. Now, this is 13, 14, 15 years old. And I'm well advanced to what they are, because I got a critical thinking, analytical mind. How do I win? Well, they'll tell you what they have. They'll show you by betting, or a couple of people that will, like the guy who never played and then bet when he had a hand. He wasn't emotional, but his bet was. And the other guy obviously was emotional with the royal flush. So therefore, if he wasn't emotional, he didn't have anything. So you're learning to play. You're learning how do I win? And that's really what you're doing. You're looking at the you're looking at how you're really betting against. I do this in football. I'm betting against the bad teams, the Jets, Miami, Cleveland. I mean, you would bet against the bad teams and bet on the weak teams. And I share that with you when I give you my teaser, the plays, the play against. So if we go back to week 16, the plays, Chicago, the Rams, Houston, and Denver. And then who are we playing against? And that's the tell at the poker table. We're playing, oh, he looks like he doesn't have anything. I can get him out. Oakland, the Jets, Tennessee, Cincinnati, Arizona, the Giants, New Orleans, and in Philadelphia this year. Those are the teams I want to bet against, and I want to bet on Houston and Denver and New England and the Bears and the Rams. So, but they change every year. So what I'm looking for every year is who's the good team, who's the bad team. And I want to bet on the good team and against the bad team. And that comes into poker. Since I've been doing football betting since I was about 9, I quickly analyzed, problem solved the games, and I would see the team in white won, which was the home team. And it was mostly the Jets. And this is mid 60s. The Packers would win. They'd wear I don't know if they wore their white at home, but probably their green and gold. But you would learn, oh, it's Lombardi. I'm not betting against Lombardi. So you would learn how to study and learn, how do I make money? And then all these little trends would come and you'd problem solve everything. And you get that by actually playing. So if you're new to betting football, I would advise you to pick the games. Don't bet anything, or bet $1, but you really don't want to bet anything. And you're not betting. And then what happens is you're analyzing what happened. Why did I win? Why did I lose? And that's why I get so in depth in understanding the team, because the good teams, I want to bet over the bad teams. But how do you measure? And that's why I come in with my stats and my defense and my quarterback and that. And in poker, it's a similar thing. In poker, you're looking at who's the good players. Oh, Daniel Negreanu's at my table. Yeah. Doyle Brunson and Phil Ivey. Yeah. I'm going to be very careful. I want to bet on them, not against them. And then I got some sleps over here and I'm betting against them. So it's, oh yeah, there's my bitch over there. I can beat him. I can just make a bet and he'll fold. And that takes you to the next strategy that they kind of look at is, are you strong or weak? So they're trying to read you for weakness. I told you about this guy who's a big bluffer. Is on one of these 2022 World Series of Poker, one of these poker brain, I think. And he can read you if you're strong or weak. And when he knows you're weak is when that's how he wins. He bets a lot and you fold because you're weak. So he can analyze you if you're weak somehow, whatever his method is. But keep in mind, you're being watched, sort of like the government monitoring your car and everything else. In poker, you're being watched. So that's why my head's down. I'm looking at the middle of the table just like that. You can read whatever the fuck you want. You're not reading anything. And since I know you're watching me, I'm more apt to give you a fake tell. So if I'm playing this bluffer guy, if I'm playing any of the advanced players, I'm going to look weak but not be weak. Well, how do you do that, Howard? Well, you just act nervous. What do you do when you have 4 kings? You're very relaxed. I'm winning. I'm relaxing your shoulders. You smile. You look at the TV. There's all sorts of things that you would look at when you have a good hand. So therefore, what do you look like when you have a bad hand? You're like, oh, shit, I missed. You look at the flop. Damn, I missed. I have 4 hearts. I didn't get. So you give off that defeatist attitude, I missed. And people are watching that. And then people are going to bet because they know you can't call because you don't have a hand. You just told them you don't have a hand. So I don't have a hand. He's going to bet on me. And that's where the bluff comes in. It's not even a bluff. I know you don't have anything, so I just got to make a bet and you're going to fold. So I don't even know if that's bluffing. I think to me, bluffing is more the guy's got a pair of aces and I'm going to make a big bet to get him off his hand. I think that's bluffing. I think betting against weakness is just smart. It's part of the game. I don't think that's bluffing. So I think bluffing is getting the person off its hand. You might have a hand, you might not. I might have two pair, and I'm going to bluff to get you off a flush. Now I have a hand, but that's bluffing, right? So you develop different strategies, and people tell you, what are you looking for? You're looking, how do I win? And then sometimes you realize you can't win. Sometimes the way the guy looks, you're going, oh, he's got a good hand. I really don't have enough to beat him. And you fold, which is the smart move. But again, you have to understand people, psychology, and poker, what it is. You have to also understand and hold them that if you don't hit one of the five cards, chances are they did. Somebody hit one of the five. So hard to play your pair of twos and you know, an ace nine and 6-5 of diamonds. It's hard to play those cards. 6-5 of diamonds. Even if you get 3 diamonds, are you going to get paid off? Is it worth calling for? Because 2 diamonds hit, you got 4 diamonds. What are you going to do? Make a bet? 5th diamond hits. What are you going to do? You going to win any money? No. And if you don't hit the flush and you get a pair of 5s or 6s, now what do? There's a king and a queen on the board, and Joe's betting. I can't call with 5s or 6s. I think he's bluffing. Well, that's where they're reading you. Like I read the guy who got all excited about his royal flush, or the other guy who never called, but when he did call, everybody knew he had a big hand and they'd fold. And I don't think he understood, but he'd fold all the time, and that's the problem. You can't do that. You've got to mix it up a little bit, and it happens like on the small and big blinds, or you're the button. So then you maybe make a small bet just to fucking spam. I like how I hang up and block it. You have to make some bets because you can't be obvious, right? So, you understand people are playing back at you. Now that's a different game, poker, than let's say baccarat. Baccarat is simply you're either betting the player or the bank. So you can do whatever you want. You can smile, you can be sad. Nobody's reading you. So that's the big difference in casino gambling, poker, than everything else. Football betting, you can be emotional. Craps, you can be emotional. Your hand isn't disguised in any of the other games except for poker. That's why it's different. People are looking at you to see, do you have a good hand or not? But in the other games, they're not. The other games, I advise playing the streaks. If it keeps sevening out, play the don't pass in craps. If it keeps hitting 6s and 8s and 9s, bet the numbers. Just bet the streak because it's no rhyme or reason. You're playing with dice. Roulette, like I said, play black or red, odd or even. And if black keeps hitting or red, you just keep playing it. Baccarat's the same thing. If the bank keeps hitting, you bet the bank. If the player keeps hitting, you bet the player. And there you do have more ties because 10s are zeros. So you do get ties in it, and you can bet ties. But I just stick with the streaks because you really don't know what's coming. Just like in poker, you really never know the guy's 2 undercards. You never know. You only know if he gives you the tell, oh, shit, I missed it, that he missed it. Otherwise, you don't really know. So keep that in mind. Betting sports, now there's no hand. You just bet on the good team and against the bad team if the line is right. So you're looking at Seattle and New England. The line, you make your own line is 7. It was 4.5. I'm betting on Seattle. And then you recognize their defenses. You say, well, they got great defenses. I'm betting under. which happened to win this time. Not always, but most of the time. And so that's what you're looking at. You're breaking the team down to know what kind of team they are. That's a different investment. Sports betting, baseball, you're looking at the pitcher because nobody can hit Sandy Koufax, Nolan Ryan, the good pitchers, nobody can hit them. So, I got a good pitcher going. I'm going to bet the game under. If I have bad pitching going, well, they're going to hit the hell out of this guy normally, so I'm going to bet it over. Things like that. Don't really do basketball because it's all cheat. It's all fixed, so I don't even waste my time on that. Or the player sits out. I need rest management. What the fuck is that? If you don't want to be here, go home. Take your ball and go home. This is for people that want to play. People go to the gym all the time and play basketball and don't get paid for it. And here you have these arrogant assholes, LeBron James and these guys who, I need load management check. In other words, what they're saying is I want to get paid for doing nothing. They're lazy bums. So they take load management. So you're going to bet a game and then the guy doesn't play and you're betting on him to, Mahomes always plays. Joe Burrow plays injured and Lamar doesn't play injured. Aaron Rodgers played. Aaron Rodgers broke his wrist and he was out there. These are players. That's who you want to bet on. Basketball, these are just wimps that are lazy sons of bitches who could care less, who want to make money for not doing anything. They're there for the money. They're not there because they like to play basketball, which is unusual. Like I say, I go to work out in the pool and there's basketball courts there and nobody's getting paid. They're doing it because they enjoy basketball. I enjoy swimming. I want the workout. I want to do it for health reasons and I want to keep in shape. John C., good morning. Who you got to win it all, TK? I got gold's going to win it all. Gold and silver. There are winners. So, again, in investments, you're trying to understand. You're trying to understand sports betting. You got to understand the team. If I bet on this team, are they capable of winning or losing? This is a bad team, the Jets. They've been bad for 20 years. And so you keep, I'm going to bet against the Jets. And, poker, we've talked. Roulette and blackjack and craps, we've talked. But we understand you can play that. You can watch. You can go to the crap table and just watch. It's not hard. They're throwing dice. If it comes up, if there's a point, if it comes up 8 and then 7, you lose. If it comes up 7 and then 7 and then 7, you win. Very simple game. They're fucking with the odds, which is why it's hard to play it now. Plus the limits. You got to bet $50. Oh, fuck you. I want to bet 5. That's it. Then you get into other type of investment. So again, I got money. I made money from my job and I want to make more money. I don't want to just go to the office and make money. I want to be able to eat better and take better vacations and buy my girlfriend, wife, a nice jewelry and nice clothes. I want us to have a better life. That's why you invest. The problem is where. So we get to stocks. You got to value the company. Is it a Seattle company or is it the jet company? So everything folds together. So I want to bet on the Seattle company, not the jet company. So you have to understand what kind of company they are. It's Ford. They make cars. They're run by idiots, just like the Lions. They don't know what they're doing. They are overpriced. You got high interest rates. Stay away from them now. And they don't know how to run anyway. They're terribly managed. So I know I worked there. But my name isn't Ford, so it was pointless. But then you get to other industries. Well, there's cookies, there's food, there's medical, there's the defense contractors. So you get all these sectors, utility companies. And so now it's AI. Well, nobody really understands AI, but they put their money in these AI stocks, which makes the AI stocks go up. But nobody understands it. Nobody realizes what's happening. but they know the stock price is going up. Why is the stock price going up? Do they have a good defense? Do they have a good coach? Do they have a good quarterback? So you're looking at AI, and do you like it? Would you buy it? Is it even available to buy? I think it's a piece of crap. I think it really just takes data from other places. So you have data stored up, and AI takes the data out. Well, I can do the same thing in Excel. I can go into the database and pull it up. In fact, I do sort of AI when I do my football. I do 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. I'll do 2026. Then I got this tab here that adds them up. Well, give me 25 and 24. Give me 23, 24, 25, and put them in these other tabs so I can summarize it without having to go into each year. I guess that's AI or digital capital. So you have that, and that's a way to do it, where you can see who's hot and who's good and who's bad. Because the good team will be, oh, what did I read you? Oh, what did I read you? New England, they're 16-1 in a teaser, and Seattle was 14-3, and Denver was 17-1 in a teaser, and Houston. Well, that's why I do it. So you see they're strong, they're good in the teaser, they're good to bet on, they win. That's what you're looking for. How do I pick the winner? Well, the good teams win, the bad teams lose. So if you're buying an AI stack, what are you buying? What is AI? It's just pulling data. It's not even accurate because it mixes up the data it's pulling. So it doesn't really know what data you want. It's just pulling data based on a header. So it could be the Russian-Ukraine war, and it's giving you data, but how accurate is it? Where are they getting it from? There's 2 million Ukrainians dead, and there's like 800,000 Russians dead. But if they pull it from the wrong source, they're going to say, oh, there's only 1 million Ukrainians dead, and there's 1 million Russians dead, and the data is not accurate or correct. So where are you getting the data from? That's the problem with AI. Plus, are you asking the right question in the right way that AI gives you? Like I asked about, is jewelry? I asked, is jewelry, what is it? Capital gains. Because I said, well, if my gold's capital gains, maybe my gold jewelry, maybe this isn't because it's jewelry. So how can this be a collectible? Where I didn't buy this as a collectible. I bought this as a present to myself for getting my master's in economics and finance. So this was a present. It's not a collectible. Is this a collectible? No, not really. This is I'm getting into this to avoid losing all my money in this. So we're faced with the problem. What do you do? This is worthless. Well, you get out and you Rumpelstiltskin into gold and silver. It's not an investment. It's not a collectible. Everybody wants to call it collectibles. It's not, and we're not really looking to sell most of it. So that's what you run into. So AI is really not so the answer I got was, well, gold, like gold is a collectible, taxed up to 28%. See, they make it sound like it's 28%. That's if you're making a couple $100,000 a year, it's 28%. If you're making 20,000 a year, it's 1 or 2%. But they don't tell you that. What do they do? 28%. That's wrong. It should be based on the tax bracket you're in, because that's how capital. But how do you even figure out capital gains? It's what you paid for it versus what you sold it for. So at most, your capital gain on gold now, if you sold it for 5,000, is probably going to be 3, because you had to buy it and you're paying probably 2,000 for it. Even if you did what I did and bought it back then, it was 2,000. So my capital gain's only 3,000. And then at what percent? but I could say I bought it for $4,000. You can't prove shit. I don't have, I paid cash for it. You can't just assume it's two. So I put four. So, okay, I'll pay 1,000 of a capital gain at 5% or something. That's how I would do it. And if they want to waste their time trying to, audit me and go, oh, let me see your receipt. I don't have any. Oh, well, then we'll have to charge you, what, $200? Assume that you bought it in 1971 or something. I mean, yeah, you're out of your mind. But that's what AI doesn't tell you. So AI is not accurate. It's not anything I would rely on. So again, you're going to buy stock in AI. All right. So you go through different sectors. And I did my thesis on this when I was in college. I had learned about Austrian economics. And so critically thinking, I go, well, I wonder how that affects the stock market. So I wrote this 50-page paper, which is basically here. I lost it on the move to Alabama, but it gets into step one, the Fed lowers the interest rates. Then I go here, stage 5. At stage 6 is probably when we should think about selling the capital goods stocks and think about buying the consumer goods stocks. It's a wonderful thesis. However, I don't have it, and I don't think it's on my computer, so I'd have to retype it. So this is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 20. It's 23 pages. No, it's 22 pages. But here was all my sectors I used. So the following are names of the top 2 or 3 sectors in each sector, just to help the investor know what stocks to buy, which sector, since you can't buy stocks in the sector only. So in other words, you can't buy capital goods. You got to buy aluminum, which is Alcoa, Reynolds, automobiles, Chrysler, Ford, GM. At the time, this was in the 90s, consumer goods. Banks in New York, Citicorp, JP Morgan, Chase Manhattan. Banks outside. And then I got into machinery. And then I got into metals. Phelps Dodge and that. Briggs Stratton were machineries, oils, paper, electrical. So look at all these sectors. Electronics, gold mining, hospital supplies, household, leisure, liquor, machine tools, building supplies, chemicals, computers, drugs, pollution, publishing. And then I had, the other side, restaurants, retail stores, retail food, retail merchandise, soft drinks, steel and iron, telephone, tobacco, textile, and truckers. And I show you Carolina Freight, Consolidated Freight Rails, Russell Textiles, tobacco, Philip Morris, which was Marlboro, American brands, telephone, Ameritech, Southwest, steel and iron, inland. So I'm giving you the sector, and then the top stocks, which I probably analyzed looking at the best earnings per share, let's say. How do you choose which sector? Well, part of it was done by interest rates. So the higher the interest rate, you would stay out of Caterpillar and Ford and GM and all that. And you'd be in more of the foods, Hershey's, Coca-Cola, M&Ms. You'd be in those because you're always going to be able to afford Coke and Budweiser, Fritos and stuff like that. But you're not always going to be able to buy a car or building. Nobody's going to say, build me a house with interest rates at 6-7%. As we see inflation ramping up, which we know is higher interest rates, you wouldn't want to be in the car sector, the building sector, or anything like that. The lumber sector, the Home Depots, you wouldn't want to be in any of those. You want to be in consumer goods, maybe some clothes, mostly food. We all have to eat. And you don't make as much, but that. Now, where does AI fall into this mess? and where does some of the others? So this is now, so you want to invest in stocks. I've given you a list of about 30 sectors, not stocks, sectors. And in those sectors are two or three top stocks. There was a way I did it. I think I went into, I don't know if it was Google or E-Trade or whatever I was in, and just called up the sector. I said, well, what's the top in this sector? And I would say by earnings per share, let's say, or profit or something. And I just chose the top two or three because that's all I cared about. Now, are they going to keep growing? Well, the interest rates say yes or no. It's always about the profit. It's always about how expensive things are. If steaks are $20, you're not going to buy a lot. If they're $10, it was on sale for the Super Bowl. I bought three of them. So it's $30, where if I bought three regular, they're $60. So if the price is down, sales will go up. Now, profits will not go up because you're selling it cheaper, but you're hoping you're in a cycle where the rates are low, or the rates are high, but it's good because you're buying that and you don't care. You're just trying to make a little bit. You're not trying to, I'm going to make 1,000%. I mean, that's just stupid. So again, how do you pick the right stock? Well, at first it comes into what are the interest rates at? What is the economy like? Where are we going? We're in a recession now, so people aren't spending. Things are more expensive. Okay, so I'm probably going to be out of the market now, or in, like I said, Oreos and Chips Ahoy and stuff like that. Maybe farm produce, because I'm buying vegetables, which I'll always be able to afford, apples and onions and eggs and stuff like that. We have to eat, except for when I do my 4-day fast. Eventually I have to eat. So there's other drivers causing you to pick the stock. That's why I never had a financial advisor or a stockbroker, because I can do it on my own, as I'm showing you here. And I did go to one at Merrill Lynch. My father-in-law, my brother's wife's father, went to Merrill Lynch or something. He had this guy, and I come in, and he wouldn't take me because I only had 5,000. What a son of a bitch. Yeah, but I'm this guy's son-in-law. Well, no, we don't care. So I went to another one who would take, Joe will take you. Joe's an idiot, so he'll take you. He's hungry for commission. And he just shows Coca-Cola, and he just shows it go like this. As soon as he showed that, I got up and left. Well, this guy's an idiot. As we see in gold and silver now, it doesn't just do this. It does this and this, and it's dependent upon, is the CEO in jail? Is he doing drugs? Is he having sex with young girls? Does he know Epstein? All these things that could get you in trouble. Are there any legal ramifications? And that's how you would sit there and go, oh, okay, now everything's clean. So look at all you got to do just to figure out if you should buy the stock. Is it clean? And then you go from there and you go, okay, everything checks out. Now we got to look at their financial statements, balance sheet, sales minus expense gives you profit. Are they profitable? You go to cash flow from operations. Do they have positive cash flow from operations? Which means, does the company make the things? There's a little different than the balance, than the income statement. Does the company actually have positive cash flow? Takes into account depreciation, accounts receivable, accounts payable, a little more in-depth look. But so in other words, when you sell the product, you get receivables. Are they coming in? You owe payables. Are they under the receivables? And at the end of the day, is this a positive cash flow? If it's not, you don't invest in it. Then you got to look at the PE ratio, price of the stock versus the earnings of the company. And you shouldn't pay more than 20%. Like Tesla is like 100, and a lot of these are like, 80, 90 PE ratios. Well, it's a joke. You don't want to be in that. And that's where Apple and Amazon are. Their PE ratios are way out of whack. But why do people buy them? Because they don't know any of this stuff. And they go, well, Joe's in Apple and Amazon, and the stock goes up, so I'm going to go into that and just make money because the stock's going up. And this is how stupid people are today. So they don't know what they're doing. So you look at all that, and that's how you come up with it. Do stocks only go up? No, of course not. They do go down. You will lose. It's not going to be all roses. It's going to go up, and then it's going to tank down. People will leave it. Oh, I'm going to go into AI. So you jump into an AI stock, which you don't even name any. I think maybe what Zuckerberg does AI or something like that. And I think Meta is AI. But we all hate Zuckerberg because he sells all our data to the Chinese without our permission. Oh, in the small print, it says, I give you permission to sell my stuff to the Chinese. Yeah, sure we do. When everything's free, beware. There's a reason it's free. So you're in Meta, you go into Meta, you don't know, and then Meta starts going down. And you don't know why, and you don't know if you should get out of it or not. And, you don't even know what AI is. You don't even know if it's profitable. If GM buys AI, is it going to make the company more profitable or less profitable? Because you got to pay for it. And are you going to get a return on your investment, which you have no idea? I don't even know what it is that it's going to return me anything positive. I would never buy it. I got Excel. I can pull the data out of my general ledger for the last 2 years by this account, by this cost center. And how did we do versus budget? It's all in S-Base. It's all in Excel. I don't need AI to do any financial analysis. So that's what you're looking at. And so what do you do with it? You don't know what to do with stocks, right? Which stock do I buy? And I just left you 40 different sectors with 3. So that's 120 different stocks. Good luck figuring out which stock. Oh, and AI wasn't even here then. So you got to be very careful. John CTK, you're awesome. What's up? Okay. Thank you. So how do you know what stock to buy? Well, I'll just buy Amazon and Apple because that's what everybody's buying, because they're now having TV. There's Apple TV, Amazon. So I'm just going to buy that. Well, how do you know if it's profitable? They have to pay a lot to broadcast. Well, they got the NFL now. Well, again, how do you know if that's a good thing? How do you know that that's profitable? They spent $2 billion to get the NFL. Oh, that's a lot of money. You're going to get shit games. Nobody wants to pay for it because we know people, they don't want to pay for anything. People come to me, give me your pick. Who did that? Somebody did that. They'd come to me and they'd go, well, give me your pick for free. I go, you got to pay. I got customers. I sell my picks. The economics I give you for free. You gotta buy my picks. I'm not giving. I give one free pick. Well, what's your lock today? So people don't want to pay for anything. They want everything free, make their money, and then of course not tip me for I won them. I hit the Super Bowl. Did anybody tip me for giving you Seattle under in Seattle? No. It was like, thanks, Howard. You're a sucker. You gave us the picks and we won, but why should we reward you? Basically. And that's just rude, non-professional people. If somebody made me $500, I'd sure as fuck tip them. I sure as fuck thank them. So it's really, really difficult. Anyway, so I stay stoic and say, well, my pride is that I picked the game and I picked the score. 27-13, it came 29-13, or 30-10 was my initial. Either one, I nailed the score. And I'm fine. See, look how good I am. I can tell you the score of the game, and the game comes in. Now, I'm part psychic, so I gut instinct, which helps in poker a lot. I can feel if I'm going to win or lose. Not only that, I can sense the card that's coming. It's going to be, I close my eyes and I picture in a 10 of diamonds, and here comes the 10 of diamonds, and it scares me because I like, how the fuck did I do that? I start doing it now when I'm watching the World Series of Poker 5 years ago, and the guy flops, and then here comes the turn, and I go 7 of diamonds, and it's the 7 of clubs or something. I'm like, wow, amazing. But so how do you pick all these different stocks? How do you know which one's going up or down? You don't know anything about the management. You don't really know what's coming. Stocks are not what's happened now. It's what's going to happen in the future. Is Toyota coming out with a new car that everybody's going to want? It's based on supply and demand. It's based on price, which is also based on interest rates. So let's go to cornflakes. Are cornflakes going to come out with a chocolate cornflake or a caramel cornflake or something else that's going to drive all this massive sales because they have these new flavors? Well, if you hear that and you think, oh, chocolate I like, or caramel I don't like, but Alyssa likes, then I'm going to sit there and I'm going to go and I'm going to buy the stock because they are going to get increased sales, which should increase the margins, which should make the stock go up. So you got to look at what are they coming up with. And then my favorite, the Canadian Club. All right. This was owned by a British company, which I can't think of right now. Allied Domecq. Allied Domecq owned Canadian Club. Well, here, Canadian Club came out with a 12-year-old. Well, that should increase sales because that's not your normal bottle. That's a sub bottle, right? The normal Canadian Club is nothing. Just they make the whiskey. But this is actually aged 12 years. So will people buy it because it tastes better or as a collectible? I mean, how many 12-year-olds? I have a white labeled Maker's Mark, which was when Kentucky won the basketball. The owner came to us at Hiram Walker and he brought a case and he gave everybody a bottle of Maker's Mark white label, which you've never seen. It's always the red label. And unfortunately, it's in the yellow fucking Bama, but I should have kept that with me in the car. That was a mistake because you'll never get that again. I don't know what it's worth, but definitely meaningful. So there's what new products, what legal issues are they going to have? You know, these idiots in government changing things around, is that going to affect the company? And so how do you know all that? Well, you really can't go to your financial planner because he doesn't know shit. He's there for your commission. The attack on Wall Street guy was there for the commission. That was it. That's why I put you in real estate trust, was for the commission. So you're battling with stocks. Are they going up or down? Everything is, the more they cost, the less they're going to make and the less they're going to sell. Like I say with steaks, you raise it to $20, I'm not buying as many. At 10, I'm going to buy more, but your profit's going to get hurt. So, what do you do with it? So a lot of it is the cost to purchase. We're the supply, they're the demand. Or we're the demand, they're the supply. No, we're the supply. We have the money and we demand their goods. So like a t-shirt. So I go to my toothpaste. At least, I brush my teeth. I go up north, as you know, on the holidays, and I replenish some of my clothes. And so they have Tommy Hilfiger, they got Columbia, they've got whatchamacallit, Tommy or Brooks Brothers, and they got Polo. Well, Polo doesn't understand that it's an outlet mall. They want to charge you $100 for a golf shirt. Brooks Brothers, 30, Hilfiger, 30. The sailboat guy, 20. And then here's Polo at 100. You gonna buy Polo stock? They're not gonna sell anything. I take 2 seconds, look at the price, and I walk out and I go to Brooks Brothers or I go figure they're right across. I can get the same golf shirt, except for instead of a polo player, I get a what is it, a goat on Brooks Brothers and whatever Hilfiger is, and I can same nice golf shirt, and it's $30 instead of 100. That's where price comes in. So you can't really buy polo stock, even though you think it. I used to own Coach stock because I'd get my wife a nice purse, and I'd go in there, and they never had anything on sale, and I'd say to the lady, I said, "How come you never have anything on sale?" She says, "We don't need to. It gets bought at these prices." So their prices were actually too low, but they never put things on sale. So I would buy Coach stock, and then I make sure I buy my wife a Coach item, or I got my little Coach wallet, and so you go to Coach for that. So that's a stock tip. So you're out and you're looking, right? But there's a million things. And then how's the company run? And then is there expenses like these tariffs have made? I was in Brooks Brothers, and the guy's telling me we moved our warehouse from China to Vietnam to cut on the tariffs because the tariffs are really high. So now we're in Vietnam and our tariffs are much cheaper. So they were being smart about it, right? So here comes tariffs to fuck up everything. So there's a lot to go in, just like poker, just like football, into stock picking. And, you can't just follow the number without understanding the company. So Harley Davidson, oh, that's a great company, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but they came out with electric motorcycles, and nobody wants electric motorcycles because the people that drive Harleys want regular motorcycles. They're not into this environment crap that isn't even real. And so they want regular, but all the money that went into these electric motorcycles that nobody bought. So you're down $1 billion in expense, and you can't sell any of them because nobody none of your market wants electric vehicles. You didn't understand your market. So that's why I lost my job there, because they're losing their ass. There's nothing, it's like, I don't do anything wrong. All right. I'm very smart at my jobs, and I'm very polite and everything. I don't say fuck off to my manager. But we can't afford you. Same thing with Denico. We can't afford you. So my resume looks a little skewed. Like, what's this guy working all these out? If you're so good, why are they letting you go? Because you're run by idiots. So again, they go with electric. So you don't want to buy stock in Harley Davidson. So you understand all the variables in the economy, and then you make your choice on the stock. Well, most people are too stupid to do that. The financial planners or stockbrokers who you deal with are too stupid to do that. So they see this AI stock going up, NVIDIA, and they we'll buy that, and it goes up because everybody buys it because nobody knows what they're doing. So they buy it and it goes up. And then okay, we made 20, 30. They don't know when to sell it, and they put more money into it. And that's what's happened in a lot of stocks. Luke wants to buy gold miners, silver miners. Why? Well, because the stock goes up faster than the gold. Okay, first of all, you're wrong. Secondly, the reason was because gold was price fixed by JP Morgan and COMEX. So of course the stock would go up higher, but guess what? It's not. Now you've had Basel III, gold goes up a lot faster as it's gotten to 5,000. So that's theory's gone. And then you're in stocks, which are a big auction. So it's not going to work because people are into AI. They're not going to buy gold and silver miners because most people don't understand gold and silver. So why would they buy the miners? And then when everybody crashes and everybody says, I want my money and I'm going to put it into gold, once they realize the US dollar is worthless, all the foreigners, China, Russia, Japan, Germany, England, all these people are going to sit and come back with, I want my money out. They're not going to say, I want my money out, but leave the miners. They're going to pull all their money out. So the miners will crash, just like every other stock's going to crash. And when that happens, you won't know why. You go, well, I was in the mine. And that's why I say, don't just be in physical gold and silver. Why are you making it more difficult than it needs to be? Well, I want part of my money in gold, part of it in silver, and then part of it in the miners and stocks. And like, get out of stocks. The Titanic's sinking. The lifeboat's the only thing you're going to survive, and you want to stay on the Titanic. Just mind blowing. People listen to the wrong people. When he listens to me, he gets it, but then he listens to his brother or his cousin or some guy. Oh, the miners are going to go up. So he puts money in the miners like an idiot. And there's nothing I can do. I can only tell you to get out of the stock market because it's going to crash. Just like the dollar's crashing now. The dollar has no value left. So again, now you're analyzing the minor stocks and the gold stocks and the AI stocks and GM and Ford. You're all over the place. You don't know what to analyze. So you just see, oh, well, Amazon's going up and Apple's going up. So I'm going to buy those. And that's going up because the government's printing money to make the stock market look better than it is. Let's take a look at what the stock market's doing today. Oh, we're at 5,005 and 78.24. What a happy day. How long will it last? I don't know, but today's an up day, so that's good. All right, let's look at the stock market. The Dow. See, this page doesn't refresh. All right, now it's refreshed. It's up $270 at 49.8. This is the government printing money, pushing the stock market up to say, look at our economy, because you're all so stupid that if our stock market's good, you think the economy is good. Only we know the inflation's huge, and that's the problem. Anyway, real quickly, I was doing this thing on Frammer. The Tigers got Frammer Valdez and whatchamacallit, and Justin Verlander. And I did a thing on Valdez, and I'm looking and I go, this guy's 33 years old, born in 1998. He's 33 years old. And I looked at his record. All right, he was good in 24, but last year he was 13-11 with a 3.66 ERA. All right, that's decent, but he's 13-11, but 3.66. Now he was 2.91, but you can see he's getting older. He's 33. So they're making a big deal that they signed the guy. Well, the guy's 33 years old. And I did the same thing with Verlander, and Verlander's like 43. And they're all, oh, we got a great starting rotation. We got Frammer Valdez with his 3.73 ERA, which is decent, but he's 33. And then we got Verlander, who's 43 years old, who maybe will pitch 5 games, 7 games, then be hurt. He was on the injury reserve a lot last year, but he doesn't have anything left. So it's like, the guy's 43. Verlander, retire already. As Rickles used to joke, Frank, it's over. You're too old. It's Frank Sinatra. It's over, Frank. You're too old. Hardly looks like a great pitching rotation. And then you have Skubal, who is, it's a fake Cy Young. Max Fried was the next best pitcher on the Yankees, but there is no good pitching in the American League, so somebody has to be the Cy Young winner. He's the best of, it's like the US dollar. It's the best of all the crap shirts, the dirty shirts. The yen, the yuan, the euro, the British pound, they all suck. So the US is the best of all the crappy currencies. So Skubal is way overrated. But in the playoffs, when you needed him in the elimination game to pitch 9 innings, he quits. He's a quitter, and he just pitched 6 innings. Said, "I'm done." And I'd say, pack your bags. There's a Kroger's over there. You can stock the shelves and work there. If you don't want to play baseball, if you want to play on my team, I need you 9 innings in a elimination playoff game. If you can't do that, there's the go load popping beer up in aisle 3. Basically, right? So that's what it is. I mean, the guy is, He's just a loser. He's a choke. He has no heart. Doesn't want to be there. Fine, go do that on another team. But I wouldn't pay the guy $30 million. I'd let him walk, and I wouldn't even trade him because nobody wants him. But then that leaves $30 million open. I can trade for Paul Skeens. So it's a wash. I just traded for Skeens and that's it. That's what I would do. Or I just sit him on the bench and say, well, I know you don't like the pitch that you're like LeBron James. You just want load man. So why don't you load management until we can trade you? But it's not like the NFL. You're not going to get a star back for him. So just cut him. I mean, just say fuck off. I wouldn't even use him. He doesn't want to be there. Doesn't want to play in the Tigers. Doesn't want to pitch 6 innings. Bye-bye. Go fuck off. I want people that want to play. Like I said, at the gym, people are playing basketball or people are swimming. You're not getting paid for it. You do it because you enjoy it. Well, if this guy doesn't enjoy baseball or LeBron doesn't enjoy basketball, go fuck off. You want me to pay $500 a ticket to see LeBron and he's sitting in the stands? I want my money back because I paid to see him. Anyway, so you're investing in stocks. Good luck. And unless you know a company, you cannot rely on your stockbroker. He's going to put you in AI because it's going to make him look good. Hey, look, NVIDIA is going up. Look how smart I am. And you, Amazon or Apple. And that's why everybody's in the same 5 stocks because it goes up and the broker looks smart. Broker doesn't know what he's doing. Ask him to explain AI to you. Ask him to, when do I sell? What am I looking at? The whole thing. Then we go to bonds. What's a bond? It's an IOU. So if somebody buys a bond from me for 10 grand, you give me 10 grand and I'm going to give you 5% interest for, let's say, 5 years. And then I'm going to give you the 10 grand back in 5 years. Okay. Seems like a stupid investment. Well, it's safe. I know he's going to give me my 10 grand back and I make 5%. I make a big 5%. Dude, inflation's like 1,000%. You're losing money in the dollar. When I give you back the 10 grand, it's be worth 5 grand. And it's just stupid. And you're going to be lucky if I'm the government that I'm even going to pay you back because I have this $39 trillion debt, which means you're going to be in line for the 39. I'm going to pay China before I pay you. So it makes it very difficult in bonds that you're even going to get paid back, especially when the person you're taking the bond from is $39 trillion in debt. Now, so you really don't want to be in bonds. You're better off in silver and gold than bonds. It's much safer. Oh, you got to pay a capital gains tax. Well, everything I've mentioned, you got to pay a capital gains tax on. You got to pay a capital gains tax in stocks. You got to pay one in bonds. You got to pay one in Bitcoin, baseball cards, Canadian Club 12-year, Bitcoin. So where don't I pay a capital gains tax? Plus, it's easier. I really am not buying the gold and silver to sell. Plus, it's easier to sell 1 or 2 ounces and not pay capital gains tax because I'm not getting a 1099. If I don't get a 1099, I ain't paying it. Nobody knows I got it. Oh, it'll show on your Venmo account when the guy paid. Well, no, this is the store paid me. He's going to give me cash or a check, and I'm going to take that to the bank, and that's it. And call it consulting fees and pay nothing in tax. So that's the thing with that. So they try to scare you, but the best thing to be in is gold and silver because as we understand inflation, why is the dollar worthless? They printed it. They printed it and printed it and they printed it to death and now it's not worth anything. But you can't do it with gold and silver. I saw Egan did one. You can print dollars, but you can't print gold. I can tell, hey, Egan, how are you? You can say hello, Egan, every once in a while. So he obviously listens to me because I'm the only one who says this. That was my whole thesis was you can't print gold and silver 5 years ago. And he never said that. So now he's taking credit from me, saying, well, you can't print gold and silver. Yeah, we know that, Egon. All right. So then there's Bitcoin. Why are you in Bitcoin? You have no idea. It's not real. You've never seen a Bitcoin. It's not the gold coin with the B. It's air. How it's worth anything, how it's limited. Oh, air is limited to 21 million air. So you have that, which is a joke. You know, why are you in Bitcoin? Because it's the same as why you're in Apple and Amazon, because it goes up. Well, yeah, but why is it going up? Well, we have no idea. Why did it just come down? You have no idea. It was 120. Now it's 67. Why is it 67? You have no idea. People are probably selling to get out of because they owe and they're losing their jobs and the money is worthless. So the prices are costs are going up. That's all I can say. Why that? But why Bitcoin's going down? It's not real. It's not backed by gold. What is it? Nobody knows. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's Madoff. People are in Madoff. Hey, he gives me 15% every year for 20 years. So why wouldn't I trust him? He's a great investor. He never really invested in anything. He never made one investment. He never bought one stock. Yeah, but I got 15% every year. So whatever he did is fine with me. And I don't understand why, what the real problem was. As long as people got in. Now he got out because he really got out because everybody wanted their money because of 2008 crisis. People were losing their ass in these real estate trusts that they never should have been in, that their financial advisor stockbroker put them in, like our Attack on Wall Street guy. So he needed the money. So he would have sold Bitcoin or whatever back then. So, he sold his stock because he was going broke and losing in the real estate trust, and that's why Madoff went out. Everybody needed money, so nobody was putting money into his Ponzi scheme, so he couldn't pay out everybody. So he should have just retired and said, that housing market killed me. We lost. Sorry. Instead of going to the FBI, I don't know why he didn't do that. I assume the Russian mafia made him do that. Said, I won't kill your family. Probably. He was definitely protecting his family from the mafia. But it was a good Ponzi scheme. Much better than Bitcoin. So Bitcoin will collapse because it's not real. It's not money. I can't go to Kroger's. You people say I can't go to Kroger's with silver. I can't go to Kroger's with Bitcoin either. Why are we talking about the Raiders now? I'm talking about Bitcoin and investments. You always do that, John. See, you change course of 500%. I'll get to it, but let me complete my thought. So Bitcoin is not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. There's no value in it. You can't use it. You can't go to Kroger's or Morton Steakhouse or anywhere else and use it, or go buy a polo shirt. Nobody takes it. It's not money. That's what money is. It's what's accepted. So when we do Say's Law and I go to work and they give me a check, I take that money and I can buy other things. If you pay me in Bitcoin, I'm fucked. I can't do anything with the Bitcoin. I can't buy anything. So I would have to sell it to get money, because that's what's used to buy things right now. Is the actual, like, this is worthless, but people don't know it, so they keep selling me steaks and shirts and glasses and whatever with this. I go, thank you. Yeah, I know Bitcoin. That's what I'm saying. So you don't have to tell me that. If you listen to the conversation, you would understand that's exactly what I'm saying. So again, it's down. It's going to go to zero. But people have, this is even worse because there's really no financial advisor, although they do have an ETF. So I'm imagining there is a financial advisor selling the Bitcoin ETF. As we know from gold and silver, it's a Ponzi scheme because there's no real gold or silver in the gold and silver ETF. So therefore, you don't really have physical gold or silver. It's in money, and it's worthless. So ETFs are they're a bigger scam than anything. I don't. It's just a fund, but it's bullshit. I learned about them a while ago. I put money into a gold ETF. Oh, I'm going to make a lot of money, and the gold went up, and I made like $500. And I said, "What the fuck was that?" And then I finally got into physical, and I made a lot more money than in an ETF. It's a managed fund. You're paying for the management. Just go buy physical. There's no management fee for this. There's no cost. There's no shipping. I bought it from the store. So again, I don't know. God, my angel keeps falling over. So that's the key. So Bitcoin, again, there's no, why are you buying it? You can't answer the question. Where is it going to be? Oh, it's going to go up. Why? Well, I don't know. So again, I struggle with the Bitcoin people. So we've talked stocks, we've talked bonds, we've talked Bitcoin, we've talked poker and casino games, and we've talked football. So I've got $20,000. What am I going to do with it? Well, it goes into, we haven't talked gold and silver. So again, why do we end up with gold and silver? Why is that the selective investment safety net? It serves two purposes. One, it's safety. So as your dollar erodes because of the printing and that's called inflation, and it's got no value, we can still get rid of it and buy gold and silver. And that goes up by the dollar goes down. Basically, you can't print gold and silver, but you print the shit out of the dollar, every dollar. The euro, as I show you, the British pound, the yuan, the yen, the ruble, all are printed to death and all have no value. Zimbabwe did it, and then they finally came out with the ZiG, which is gold back. In Germany, you had the Reichsmark. I couldn't think of it yesterday. The Reichsmark, which they printed trillions of, which went to zero. People needed the wheelbarrow, and it was no good. But if you had gold back in Germany, you did fine. So we get into gold and silver as a protection. They're not really an investment like a stock or a bond or like a stock or a Bitcoin or something. They're more along the lines like a mantle card. And that's our last investment opportunity. So the purpose of buying gold and silver is to get out of the dollar before it collapses. That's really the purpose. We're getting the kick where the value is going up. Oh, silver's now 78, gold's over 5,000, which are just because they have to get out of the dollar and put their money, they're putting it into the stock market and Bitcoin and gold and silver. And they're betting sports, which is basically tax-free. No capital gains tax there because they don't think you can win. And then casino game, so poker. So you have all these choices, but the risk in poker is very high. The risk in football betting is not too high for us, but most people it is. The risk for gold and silver is non-existent. There's no risk in that portfolio because I own an ounce of gold. The value will go up as the dollar goes out. So the key is the dollar going out? And the answer is yes. So now I have no risk owning gold, right? I have no risk in it. It's going to go up. It doesn't matter. It's not going to lose its value. So as the dollar loses its value, or you go to the grocery store now, and if you try to fill up your cart, it's going to cost you $1,000. You basically you basically get out of that dollar and into the gold and silver, and you watch the value of the gold and silver actually go up. And because of the demand, and then the dollar is going down, so it takes more dollars to buy goods and services. They call the prices inflation, but that's not true. The inflation is the printing of the dollar. Having more dollars is the inflation. You're inflating the money supply. I don't know how simpler to make it. And people want to call it debasement. Okay, which one of these two can I debase? Can I take the gold and silver out of paper? No. Can I take the silver out of the silver coin? Yes. This can be debased. This can't be. Why do people keep saying the dollar's being debased? The basement is taking the gold and silver out of the coin. How is how can the dollar be debased? It has no gold and silver in it. So it just amazes me how stupid some people are. Oh, Joe said it's debasement, so I'll say it. Alistair McLeod says it's debasement, so I'll say it. Well, he's fucking wrong. He's wrong about the dollar going down, not gold going up. He's wrong about that too. So why did gold go down from 5,000 to 48.50 in the last few days? Did the dollar get stronger? No, it can. It's been printed to death. It has no value. Who keeps track of the value of the dollar? The invisible man. Nobody does. Rumpelstiltskin. So we are in gold and silver because it can't go down. It's getting out of dollars. It's the best thing to get into. You don't want to get out the dollars into Bitcoin because you're still in the dollar. You really don't want to get out into the stock market because it's crashing. Real estate, I'm going to buy a house, that's going to crash. And then you've got like land. Well, if you don't, you got to like put a golf course on the land to make it go up. You got to make it productive. Have a farm on it. Have cows and pigs and chickens, and then they're using the land. That would help. But if you're just going to buy land to buy land, it's not going to go up. So these are the problems. So that's why gold and silver is the winner, because you have no risk and you just sit back and it jumps a little bit and it jumps a little bit more. And sooner or later, it'll jump more and it'll just keep going up without risk. Really can't go down. Yeah, we saw silver go from 120 to 70. That was bullshit. That was options and derivatives. So with that said, we're not really that, we're not, that's the paper world, but we have the physical. That's what we care about. And the last thing is sports cards and collectibles, Rolexes. This I'm putting with the coins. This is gold. So there's collectibles, the mantle cards, the Pokemon trading cards. There's the Marvel trading cards. So there's the non-sports and the sports. There's Rolexes and other classy watches that are limited. Those are collectibles. And why those are a little bit more risky, but you need the market for it. Everybody likes Mantle. That's why I say it. Or Tom Brady. Everybody likes or Michael Jordan. And therefore, if everybody likes them, then that's fine. I'm not sure like Pete Rose, but I'm sure about Koufax and Clemente and Bob Gibson and Willie Mays and Aaron and Mantle and Joe DiMaggio, if you can find any of his cards, because there wasn't a lot of cards during World War II. Ruth and Gehrig, if you can find 1927 Gaudi cards or 30 Gaudi made them. That 1906 or 7 Hannes Wagner, where they made like 7 of them, and they're worth millions of dollars. Well, it just shows you if it's limited. So I have that 101 Eiserman. I feel pretty good about that. And it's numbered 1 of 1. So that should be worth a fortune someday. Not right now, but it will be, I think. Again, you'll never see it on eBay because how can you sell it? I have the only one. Nobody can sell it. Now, I think there's a 101 in a different set. I can look at that, or I can just check 101s, see what they're going for. My guess would be $30,000, $40,000 minimum, but maybe more. And so that's your fifth option. I can get into sports cards and Canadian Club 12 years, the Maker's Mark white label bottle, the Rolexes, um, anything there's demand for, you can collect. But the less supply, the less amount made, gives you the value and makes the value go up. And that's why the Montana rookies were so much, 110,000, is because the Montana high demand. Everybody loved Montana, but the very low supply of PSA 10s. PSA 9s are a different story, but a PSA 10, the cards were all off center, was so hard to get that there probably is maybe 100 of these Montana rookie cards. So there's more than 100 collectors. That's why the price goes up. And that's what's going to happen in gold and silver. It'll be like Montana, where Montana I bought for $100, and it's ungraded. It's still ungraded now, but I feel it's beautiful card. And then you have these others. So I think gold and silver is going to do a Montana, where it was 100, and then I saw PSA 10. It was 30, 40 grand. Then it went up to 110 grand, and I think gold's going to definitely go up to 100 grand, and silver will be probably 20, 30 grand. Because of the demand for them, and there's no supply, and you can't create supply. You cannot make more gold and silver. It's got to come out of the ground. And believe me, the 3,000 tons that come out of the ground each year, there's more than 3,000 demand for it. So that's really what you look at. So of all those options, how do you figure out what to invest in? Well, the key is risk and reward, risk and return on investment. So what gives you the best return with the lowest risk is what you're trying to do. And that's right here. No risk, high reward. That's why we go into gold and silver, because what would hurt the value is if they printed a bunch, which they're not doing, because they can't. You can't print it. And if you see from China on eBay, these lower prices, they're obviously fake. So you avoid them. And that's why you go into the store once you understand the store and the guy proves it, and you go back, a couple of weeks later, and now I can trust him. So I've been going to the guy for 5 years. Since 2021, I've been going and buying. But I'm pretty much bought out because I'm not working, and now I'm just sitting back watching the prices go up, going, thank you. So now it's just very easy. I have something that I really can't lose on, no risk. It keeps going up, keeps getting worth it. My only risk is like when I went and he wasn't buying, but I think that was a temporary thing. He said everybody came in and sold their silver when the silver dropped, and he bought it all. And then so he said, just temporarily, I don't have any more money to buy. Okay, are you gonna buy? He's, oh yeah, it's just temporary. So I might go there today or tomorrow and just see if he's buying or not. But there's other stores I can go to sell it if I need to sell it. Like I said, I might need to sell 1 ounce of gold just to hold me over for 6 months, but and that's perfectly fine. You're going to sell 1 ounce. You're going to want to go on a vacation or get bills or something, and therefore you have it. Most of my money's in my safe. Most of my gold and silver are in my safe. So it's safe on that regard, pretty much. So it's a fireproof safe. So even if I have a fire, it'll be okay. I went through eBay last night. I was bored watching some movie, and I started looking at some cards. I couldn't find a Walter Payton PSA 10. Must be huge. And then you just start looking. 86 flare, 87 flare. There was the 87 flare. The Larry Bird was like 20 grand. And I got one of those. I was like, yeah. It's funny. When I started to go back into the this is 91, 92. I'm married and we're going to card shows and we're buying the hoops box because it was $10 and stuff. And then I get the idea to buy, oh, the 86 is really limited. Well, let's go buy that. And I made sure I bought a bird and a magic. And I just can't believe the values aren't as strong. It's all like Jordan, but it's the bird and magic really should be much, much higher. And there weren't. So I don't know. Maybe they made more of those. It's Jordan's rookie, maybe. So let's go into eBay now and have some fun. So here's our Rolex at 820,000. I don't think it sells or they keep coming up with this, but I think it hasn't sold. Wow, look at the Brady. This is a 10 count rookie card. 20 million. This guy's been 4 or 5 million. All of a sudden, well, here's a 1 of 1, right? This is population 1. Even though it's out of 10, this is the only one graded, probably the only one in existence, and it's 20 million. I'm hoping the Eiserman's similar. So here's my Mantle card, 1965, and it's a PSA 9. Imagine what a PSA 10 would go for, add a 0 to it. Now, I don't have this card. This card was like 500. I don't know the condition, if it was that good. Now, here is the second year Michael Jordan. I do have this card. This is a PSA 10. It's 32,000. So the 86 flare is the first one. So I was looking at 87 flare. And if we look at it, I mean, look how it's centered. This is very rare. Most of the centering sucked on flare, especially in 86. So to get this centered, now it's still a little bit thicker on the this side than on that side. So on where his finger is, that centering's a little thicker, but he's still got a 10 on it. Here's the Rice card, 82.5. Uh, 82. I thought it was 82.5. Anyway, so here's the Rice rookie. I saw this. This is a Peyton rookie. It's 100 grand, but it's not a PSA 10. For some reason, the grading matters. I don't know what company this is. SGC maybe or something. It comes back as a Gem Mint 10. The corners were a 9. The surface was a 9. But this is 100,000. So a PSA 10 might be 400,000 or 500,000. That's why it's important to get the PSA, not these other brands. So here's 100 grand for the Peyton rookie, which I do have that card. But look at the difference. Here's a PSA 9 at 7,000, which is kind of confusing. Obviously, there's much more supply of PSA 9s than PSA 10s for the Peyton card. Now I saw here's a Mantle rookie, PSA 4. It's going for 200,000. The guy goes 199, 799. I just go 200. This is a PSA 4, and I'll look at the centering problem. Look how off center this is. but he still gets 200,000 because it's Mickey Mantle. Here's another Jordan. This is the 86 flare. This is a PSA 9, not a PSA 10, but notice the difference. This is the 86. This is the rookie card. A little bit off center, a little bit thicker on um, where the basket is than on the other side. Here's a Mantle 3.5. The other one was a 4 for 199,000. A little bit different. The 4 should be 250 if the 3.5 is 199. But again, here's 200 grand for a Mantle rookie. That's in terrible condition, but it's Mickey Mantle. Here's the Larry Bird card. This is the 87, not the 86. You can see 20 grand, but you can see the centering. It's a little bit thicker where the basketball is than on the other side. But that's what I was looking for. So the Bird cards are going up. And here's the Montana rookie 125. 125 grand for that. Now, this is the Ricky Henderson rookie card, which I do have. This is a 9. Mine's in really good shape. This is going for $23.75. I couldn't find a 10, but a 10's going for definitely much more than it's another one of these 50, 60,000 cards. So that's your eBay. Again, here's a Kruger today, 52.64. So it's going for like 200 over spot. What I noticed was silver. Silver's much higher than the spot. Let's go into silver. See, this is fake. 59.99 is fake. Let's get to a real silver. So here you go. Silver ounce, $100. But what's the spot of silver today? 78, 79. So the 100, they're not selling it at 78, 79. But when we look at here, this is a random year Maple Leaf 91. So that's why when you see 59, you go, huh, how can this be real? $59 doesn't make any sense. It can't be real. Because why would you sell it for 59 when you can get 100 for it? Only an idiot who can get 100 for something will sell it for 59 unless it's fake. Here's a Maple Leaf 92. That makes this, since this is a 2-ouncer, makes this 185. Right? This is a 1-ouncer. This is a 2-ouncer, so you double it. And I always got confused when I was buying it. So, well, it says $30 an ounce. And it was like, yeah, but this is 2 ounces. You owe us 60. Yeah. And here you go, 101, 98. But wait a minute, the spot's 78. Why are these selling for so much more? Because you can't find physical. So they're playing games with the paper silver, but we're smart enough to realize that. So we just ignore it. We know they're playing games. And so we sit there and we go, well, if they're going to play games, I'm going to hold on to my physical and, in fact, buy more because I can see it's going for $100 and I can get it for 76. I'm going to do it. But why would I sell it for 76 when I can get 100? Now, with eBay, you're certainly going to get a 1099. JM Bullion's going to get 1099, as is Aiden Coins. They're going to get 1099. Well, they're a business, but still. But with us, I go to a guy's store and I sell him this 2-ouncer and I get $180 for it. He's not going to give me a 1099. There's a certain limit. Like if I'd have to sell 1,000 silver coins to get a 1099. Those are not my rules. Those are the government's rules. So therefore, and then they're trying to blackmail you. Well, even if you don't get a 1099, it's got to be on that, and we'll track you because we'll see it. We'll see when you get paid how do you do it? And so you really should get cash. I don't know if the guy's store will give me cash. Probably not on an ounce of gold. It would be 5,000. I doubt he'd give me cash, but maybe he would. I would prefer that. And then when I wouldn't put the cash in the bank, I would take a grand and just deposit it. And I got lucky playing poker. It's not, if they ask me. So anyway, this is option number 6. Stocks, bonds, real estate trust. Real estate trust we didn't really talk about. That's just simply mortgage. You pay more in interest on mortgage than the banks are going to give you in their money market accounts. So you take 10 grand to Chase, they're going to give you 2%. But if you buy a real estate trust, they're going to give you 6%. I get 4% more because they're selling the mortgage at 8%. And it works until people don't pay their mortgages because they got laid off and they can't afford it. They don't pay the mortgage. Your real estate trust gets delisted and you end up getting fucked as a Attack on Wall Street guy. There's a method to my madness showing you the movie. Shows you he trusted his financial guy who did it just for the commission. He didn't care about the guy. And so when he kills everybody at the end, you're kind of happy going, good, they got what they deserve. All right, John C. Raiders are doing incredible. What do you think? Okay, why are they doing incredible? What have they done that's incredible? This I don't buy any of that. We don't know who the coach is. Kubiak's son. Was he any good? Shanahan, his son isn't any good. Just because the father knows doesn't mean the son knows. Mendoza, he's not going to be any good. Brock Bowers was their best move. And you've got Gentry, who had a few good runs against Houston, apparently. So you don't really know. Funny how Houston was laying 14 in the game and won by 3, but yet blew out a lot of other teams. They beat Baltimore like 44-0, but they were the dog. And here they were 14-point favorites and they win by 3. I wonder if they were fixed and said, hey, you can't win by that much. Obviously, that's what happened. So talk to me about Raiders are doing incredible. I don't think so. I don't know what incredible means. They're still going to finish last place in their division. I think it's Denver and then Kansas City, unless Kansas City gets some defensive help and gets rid of Kelsey. San Diego, Harbaugh still sucks. And they don't have the team. I mean, they'll play the week schedule, which will help them, but they did that this year and they didn't do anything. They still got to play San Diego, Denver, and KC twice, so that's 6 losses. I just don't buy how they got better. Why are they incredible? So you can talk to me about that if you want, John C. So as we've seen, look at all the sectors in the stock market which are controlled by interest rates. Again, things costing more, you sell less of, like cars, and you're always going to be able to sell Budweiser and Coke and Pepsi and that kind of stuff. Those are more safe haven. That's more like buying gold and silver in a stock. It's really safe. People will eat them. People need to eat. They're going to buy Fritos. They're going to buy Pepsi. They're going to buy Coke. And as they get healthier, they're going to stay away from Coke. But I think they have some water company that they sell the water. And so that's it. But I don't really buy water at the grocery store. I don't think it's any good. I just take it out of the tap and put cinnamon and lemon in it, and off I go, and ginger. What else? So be careful of these. If you're shopping on eBay, be very careful. If it's priced too low, so we see these $100 silvers, and then we see this $59 silver. Now let's look at the $59 silver. I bet he's got zero feedback because he's a loser. Yeah. So if we looked at him, it's Michael Keaton 5192 with zero feedback. And the reason he has zero feedback because he keeps selling this bullshit, and then he gets a negative because it's fake. Now it looks nice. I think 2025. It says $1, 1 ounce fine silver. I don't think the US says 999 on it. Well, it looks good, but it's not silver. So you got to be careful. 1 ounce fine silver, but it's not. And that's where you get misled. You think, oh, I'm getting, it says 1 ounce fine silver, 999. Well, it doesn't say 999, but I don't think any of them do. The Maple Leaf does. And so you're buying it and you're going, well, it says 1 ounce. So that's why you got to take the magnet. And that's why it's very hard to buy on eBay. I would trust the store, JM Bullion, SD Bullion, Aiden Coins. I think I would trust them more. And then you look at the feedback. So let's look at the feedback. Let's go to, here, this is BGASC. He's selling for 100. So let's look at his feedback. And you can see his feedback's 42,720. So I'd be more apt to think this guy's real than the other guy, right? And then you might want to buy, you might want to buy 20 of them and get $3 off or something. But even the 97's high. My guy, you go to my store now, he's going to be $2 over spot. He's going to be $80. Oh, yeah, no, these are more expensive because they're 2026s. I forgot. So let's go back to a normal one. Okay, here he's selling a Maple Leaf. So you can see 4 9s, fine silver, 1 ounce. I think that means gold. Argent fine. But you can see that in the years 2010, okay, 2012, 2013. So there's no premium on it, and he's still $92 for it for whatever reason. So let's try to find one that's not 2026. All right, here's the silver round, and it's $80, which is what I would expect. All right, here's a. This is a 1 ounce silver round. They don't date them. 1 troy ounce, 999 fine silver. Aiden Coins, 216,000 feedbacks. So, they're legit. And he's selling it for $90, even though spot's basically 78, so 80. Now, again, this is not year. There's no year on this. This is silver. Now, how is this a collectible? I mean, this can't be a collectible. It's not a year. It's not limited. You're just buying silver with it. So I don't know. But anyway, so that's $90 for a round. The others were, because they're 2026, they were 100. Now there's some Maple Leafs in there for 90 something. So, but the spot's 78 and they're selling it $20 over spot. So that's what you get out of it. So again, but we're really the game is to get out of this. I got 50,000 of these. They're not worth anything, but you don't know they're not. This is the value of a $1 bill. You assume it's $1, but the value of the dollar doesn't buy anything. So it's really, what does it buy? What does my dollar bill buy me determines my value of the dollar. Where gold is $5,000 an ounce. So it's going to buy me $5,000 worth of goods and services. Where the dollar, I don't know what it buys me. It says 100 on it. Well, what does the 100 buy? Not as much as it used to, because things are more expensive, because the dollar has lost its value. But we don't really know what the value is, Alistair McLeod. There's no marker for the value of the dollar is this. Right now, the value of the dollar is of 100. The value of the dollar is 1 cent. I claim it's worth 0, but it's still used. People don't know. They'll still go to the grocery store and go to the restaurants and get a hamburger and get this and that, and they still don't know. So that's the problem. They don't really know what it's worth, and that's the key to it. They don't announce what it's worth, but they announce what gold and silver are worth, even though there's not a physical amount. It's a paper amount. Oh, silver in paper is worth $78 today. What's it worth in the physical world? We don't know. How do we not have a physical price of gold and silver? It's just, it blows my mind. It's like not having a point spread on a game. Well, how am I supposed to bet it? I don't know what the point spread is. Well, we know it's not 78. We know it's much higher, because it's supply and demand, right? As I talked about the old Mantle card, very few of them you can even find the rookie cards. So therefore they're limited, and therefore they're worth a lot more. And the same thing here, the price of the paper silver is all the options and the derivatives in it. There's not that much of physical silver. It's much more limited, so therefore the value is much higher. And the way the whole thing's being priced is just by options. It's just a joke anyway. So we have that. So we get into sports betting with the football, and we try to figure out who we're going to bet on and why. You should always have a why. You're playing poker. You're going to bluff. Why? Well, he looked weak. Well, are you sure he looked weak, or was he fucking with you, looking weak on purpose, but he's really strong? And I hate that old, like, well, if they look weak, they're really strong, and if they look strong, they're really weak. When I play, I look strong, I'm really strong, and I look weak, I'm really weak. I confuse everybody. But I can check with my full house just as easily as I can bet with it, and I can check with my garbage just as easily as I can bet. But I'm only going to bet if I think nobody else has anything. I don't know. I don't bluff. See, I bluff like, can I think I win? How, but I don't really know. These guys are very weak. But the bluffer was saying, well, I know he's weak, so I'm going to bluff him. With that, I kind of indirectly did it. I more or less know when people are strong, but normally when they're weak, they just fold, especially to me. So I don't really, oh yeah, he's weak. I mean, believe me, when I'm in the hand, the weaks are out. So I don't have a lot of weak players I'm playing against because they understand my game. Anyway, there's got to be strategy. Why did you buy the stock? Why? When are you going to sell it? Why did you buy Bitcoin? When are you going to sell it? Well, I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to watch it go up to 1 million. And then what? I got to pay capital gains, and I got to get the money. How am I going to get the money? And then I go to the, it's so stupid. And we've cut the middleman out. We haven't. So let's say Well, let's say I have my trusty Canadian club. So I got this and it's worth $50. So I got to sell it, I get the dollars. But if I don't sell it, I can't take this to the grocery store and buy $50 worth of goods and pay with the bottle. The Mano card, I can't sell the Mano card. I can't go to the grocery store with the Mano card. So I need to get dollars. This is money. Now, it's not recognized. It is in Florida. I heard Florida is like taking gold now. But basically, I'm curious what, when gold and silver you'll be able to take to the grocery store and use it. Bobby's daughter. If it's an option of having the paper or the gold and silver, it's not a conversation. You have the gold and silver, but you can't see what the value of this. You don't know what the value really is of these because they don't list it. They list A compared to B. So how is the euro priced in dollars? It's like 85 cents or something. But they don't really say the euro, this $5 is worth 10 cents and this dollar is worth 1 cent. They don't really keep track of that. That's the problem. You don't know that the dollar is worthless. They printed a lot of them. There was the petrodollar, which is gone, which is now Saudi Arabia will take whatever to buy the oil. China sends them yuan, gold back. Russia doesn't need it. They got oil. I don't know if Germany and Europe buys from Saudi Arabia, and do they pay in euros? I would imagine. But you don't need the dollar anymore. That's gone. So all these dollars from the U.S. coming back. So the U.S. how are we going to get rid of the debt? The U.S. is sitting, well, we're going to inflate our money to zero and pay off with that, which means printing more dollars. So there is no value. And then they think people are going to take the worthless dollars to pay off the $39 trillion. And I got news for you. They're not. It's like Germany. You take the wheelbarrow, 1923, and you go to the grocery store to buy milk and bread, and you needed a fucking wheelbarrow full of Deutschmarks or Reichsmarks because it was basically dead. Right? It was worthless. So I need a million Reichsmarks to buy milk and bread. So I need a wheelbarrow. Well, see, they didn't accept it. And that's what's going to happen when you hyperinflate your money and it's worthless. And then you say, well, now we're gonna get out of our debt by making the money worthless and paying people with this money, which they're not going to do. Germany, France, Spain, China, Russia, they're not going to take the dollar in lieu of that, or as most of them are doing now, they're getting out of the bonds. So they're getting out of their treasuries. That's what China's doing, and Japan and Russia's already done. They basically, I don't want them anymore. I'm selling like $1 trillion worth of these bonds. Give me the $1 trillion, why it still has a value, and I buy gold and silver with it. So that's what's happening a lot is they're selling their bonds. So, but we still owe 39 trillion. And if we think we're going to pay them back with the wheelbarrow, here you go. Here's your bonds. I mean, I got news for you. They're not going to take it. They're going to refuse. They're going to say this is worthless. Or the 39 trillion, they're all going to get out of it. And they're going to sell all the bonds and take the money that, well, it still has a value, although it doesn't have much value now. But that's his plan. We'll make the money worthless and then pay them off with worthless money. So if you have a treasury bond, good luck. I would sell it now and not hold it until it comes to fruition. And then, in 2 years, it's worthless. The government, though, is going to pay you $20,000 for your bonds. Let's say you're an insurance company or pension or something. We're going to pay you in this. It's not worth anything, but we're going to pay you in this. And that's really where we're at. So I don't think that's going to work. I think it's dirty pool, but that's what he's doing is taking the paper fantasy money and printing the shit out of it so it loses all its value and then trying to give it to these other countries who hold the treasuries. That's why you can't sell any treasuries. There was also, I saw 100-year treasury. You got to be out of your mind to buy 100-year treasury. Well, it'll be safe. You don't know what's happening in 100-year, and you're not going to be alive for it anyway. If I wanted to do that, why wouldn't I just buy this? This will be around in 100 years. This has been around for 10,000 years, 15,000 years. The Romans weren't the first ones with it. So it's about 5,000, but let's say 10,000. It's still here, still there. It still has value. Now it's starting to finally get its value because you've always blocked it and price fixed it. In the U.S., $20 in 1933 was a joke. And then FDR made it $35. That's still a joke. You've never let it be market because the governments are so corrupt, especially after the central banks in 1913. They're so corrupt that they don't want you. They want you in money buying stocks, and they're making a fortune. Not stay out of gold and silver. I don't see how they're going to compensate it. I think they'll go after Bitcoin before they would to go after gold and silver. They don't think we have any. They're not coming into my house and getting it. So I don't see a compensation happening. I hate when these AIs do these YouTubes and they like, oh, it's this, it's that. Oh, they're going to take your money. They're going to take your gold and silver. They did it in 1913. I'm like, fuck off. Now there's Bitcoin. Now there's other things to take your stocks, take your real estate trust. There's a whole lot more they're going to take before the money in your bank, before they go after gold and silver, which they don't think anybody has anyway. Why they don't have it, I don't know. If there is the gold in Fort Knox, I think you need to play that card pretty quickly. But I don't know what the fuck they're doing. I don't believe there's any gold and silver in Fort Knox. Like I said, if there was, you'd play that card. You'd make gold $50,000 an ounce, and you'd pull out your 8,000 ounces, and or 8,000 tons, is it? And you'd pull that out, and then you'd pay off your debt or pay off this or that, or you'd rather watch the dollar go to zero and then have that. I don't know. Anyway, so you're always asking why. Why am I betting this game? And then what's easier in football and going to the casino and playing poker and playing craps? I mean, there's a start and a stop. You go play craps for a couple hours, even a day, and you win. You eventually go to sleep. You eventually cash in. And same thing in poker. I play poker. I'll play for a few hours and I cash out. So you're selling, but in Bitcoin, you don't. In gold and silver, I'm watching the price go up, so I'm not selling it. I'm not panicking. Oh my God, the price is going to go down. I know too much about it that it really won't go down and can't go down. Bitcoin, I'm watching go down. If I was in at $5 and I went to 100, I would have been gone at 10,000. I would have been out. I mean, that's just fool's gold thinking that, oh, yeah, it's going to go up to 100,000. It's going up to 1,000,000. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got to take you back to the hospital and feed you full of drugs if you think that. So, again, you should have a clear. Now, it's easier, like I said, in football and poker because you're ending the session and you've won so much money. You're basically profit taking. Now you can keep playing. And this is, I think, what happens to most of these pros. They think, I'm going to make a living playing poker. And then they have a hot streak and they make some money, but they keep playing. And then they start losing because you can't, it's all luck. I mean, yeah, you can play a little bit, but basically it's luck. Basically, you pocket aces and a guy has a pair of sevens and he catches a 7 on the flop. Catches his set. Oh, that's luck. You got aces. You should beat 7s all the time. You should never lose with aces, sevens, which you wouldn't in 7-card stud or 7-card stud with a spit. You'd very rarely lose with the best hand. That's why I like it. This is kind of like suck out. Oh, he caught the diamond on the river. And I played a hand he shouldn't play. It was 20% and he wins. Or you lose it with the 2-outer or the 1-outer. I mean, it happens. That's the problem. Hold'em is just luck. So I don't know how you can play it professionally. Buying gold and silver is not luck. Betting football is not luck. playing. So sports betting and poker to me, poker's luck. Sports betting's not. Gold and silver's not. Stocks are a little different. That's a little bit manipulated for me, so I stay out of that. I'd much rather be in gold and silver and let that go. A real estate trust, you got to understand who's got the mortgages, and if they can't afford them, they're going to sell. And there goes your delisted real estate trust. So you're fucked. So the safest thing is gold and silver, not the bank. In the bank, the money's worthless. Again, you're not controlling the money. So if I got 100,000 of this crap in my bank account, I'm watching it go gone. That's the problem. So the safest is gold and silver. It's money, so I don't really need to sell it. I do now if I need money to sell it, but normally I don't need to. All right, let's see. There was a video I was watching. There's a couple of egons I'm going to play.
And to that, we have to add global debt is about 300. We're looking here at a collection of global debt is about 307. Global debt is about 370 trillion today. And to that, we have to add unfunded liabilities and derivatives, which I estimate to be around $2.5 quadrillion. So we're talking about total debt of probably around $3 quadrillion, which of course can never, ever be repaid. Excessive debts have brought every single currency system down throughout history without fail. So this is now what is happening to this currency system, which has lasted a bit over 100 years. And we are now, as I've said many times, coming to the end of another monetary era. Debt is being issued at a quicker pace than ever before. Now, we had another bond issue recently by Alphabet, which is, of course, the parent company of Google. And this was a £1 billion bond issue, and not just 1 billion, but it was 100-year bond issue. 100 years. In 100 years, no money ever survives. It goes down by probably 90 to 99, even 100%. And we know that if you go back 100 years now to the 1920s, then the currencies in the world, dollars, D-mark, euros, yen, etc., have all been debased by at least 99%. We actually only have to go back 50 years, and since 1971, and since that time, they're also debased by 99%. So we know we're coming to the end of the monetary era, but clearly wealth managers and asset managers are not aware of what happens to money over a longer period. This Alphabet issue was 10 times oversubscribed. 10 times oversubscribed for something that we know within 100 years will be absolutely worthless, because so far in history, any money over 100 years has become worthless. Still, people buy these 100-year issues because they think that the short-term yield is good. Now, that doesn't matter if the money is debased by 99 to 100% within a 100-year period. So the pensioners or the investors who receive these bonds in their portfolios will know, maybe, if it's, of course, the people who buy them today won't probably live in 100 years' time, but anybody who takes over these bonds will know that they will be worthless within that period. And what is interesting is that in the next 5 years, especially these AI companies like Alphabet or Google, Oracle, Microsoft, etc., they are estimated to issue debt of around $3 trillion in the next 5 years. Who is going to repay that? Probably nobody. They will probably, a lot of them.
So, real quickly, what it tells me is Alphabet / Google's in trouble. They need to get money in. So they did this 100-year bond, which they know they'll never have to pay back. They will pay the dividends each year. There'll be small amount of dividends, but it tells me they're in trouble. That they needed to raise $100 billion, and I'll never pay you back because in 100 years, what a bunch of idiots who buy it. Now, maybe the yield's 6%, and they go, oh, well, so I'll have it for 4 or 5 years. I'll get 6% of my money, and then I'll sell it anyway, which probably is what happens. I mean, I don't think anybody really holds it the 100 years, but it tells me that Google's in trouble. Otherwise, that's why you issue bonds, is you need the money, right? I'll do a 100-year, a 10-year, whatever. That's what the government does, right? The U.S. does these treasuries, and they need money because they got to pay off all the government employees and the debt and Medicare, Social Security, and this and that. They've got to pay all these expenses, which they don't have the money for. So that's why they issue bonds. Bonds are just to get money in. It's always a trouble sign. All right. Back to Egon.
And worthless for the simple reason that, first of all, it is unlikely that these technology companies will actually survive for 100 years. Technology moves so fast and is probably going to move from the west to the east. China is advancing by massive steps in this area and will probably be the dominant country within the next 100 years. In 2017, Austria issued a 100-year bond, and I wrote about it at the time. That bond is now standing at a 42% discount. So it's already lost 42% of its value, and that is after 9 years. So we can imagine in the next 91 years, it will lose all of its value, as all of these bonds. I always said to investors, don't ever buy bonds, especially not government bonds or long-term bonds. Governments are never going to repay their debts, and that's why it's the worst investment ever in history. Morgan Stanley recommended recently that instead of the normal asset allocation of 60% stocks, 40% bonds, to have 60% stocks, 20% bonds, and 20% gold. I would recommend 0% in bonds, and I would also recommend having the majority in gold and in commodities in the next 30, 50 years, because we are seeing.
Yes, I recommend 95% gold and silver, 1% in cash, and 4% in baseball cards or Rolexes. It's a sure play, gold and silver. You don't have to worry about it being inflated, and it's a no-brainer, really. And you're going to lose in stocks. You're going to lose just holding your money in the bank. So why would you cap 60% in stocks? Like, stocks is the all be all. As I'm showing you, there's 35 different sectors. How the hell do you know what's going up and what's going down? And when the rest of the world pulls their 42 trillion out of the stock market, what do you think is going to happen to the stocks? They're going to go down. It's the same thing with the housing market. It's going to crash. There's no demand for $500,000 houses by most people. People are losing their jobs. They're not running out to buy houses. There's no demand. The houses drop. So you got to be crazy to do that. All right.
A massive shift from paper assets to real assets. I showed it in the previous video I recorded, where gold has turned up from a bottom position against the S&P index, which means that we are now going to face a long-term trend change of gold and commodities in general, gaining massively against all paper assets. The gold price and the silver price have gone up almost exponentially in the last 2-3 years. Gold, for example, is up about 155% since January 2025. Now, that's just the beginning. Of course, we have seen recently a major correction. It went a little bit too fast, especially silver corrected more, which it always does. It moves faster in both directions. But investors should be absolutely clear that this change from paper assets to real assets is taking place, and it's going to accelerate in the next few years. So the correction we saw, for example, in gold and especially silver is just temporary. And that is an opportunity for any investor to increase their positions, or now to buy gold and silver if they don't own any, because we are within maximum 2 months, it may be shorter, could be within a month or less, going to see the end of this correction down in gold and silver. And next phase will be, in my view, could be explosive. We're going to see a move that will shock the world in gold and in silver especially. So prepare for that now. Don't wait for the market to move up, because now is the time to, as I said, add or to enter a position. Looking at what the world is doing relative to the increase in the gold price, ETF investors in gold are certainly not keeping up with the increase in the gold price, which means that the percentage of gold to assets, all financial assets, is probably still not more than 0.5% that it has been for the last few years. Only 0.5% of world financial assets are still in gold. That's going to change dramatically. I would think that it will probably go to 10 times to 5%, which has been a historical figure which we've seen many times. So this is the potential we're looking at for gold and for silver. Therefore, do not be scared by a small correction in a very long-term uptrend. In the next few years, wealth preservation is all about holding real assets, gold, silver, commodities, and getting out of the paper assets. That's the only way you're going to survive this massive change in asset allocation that the world is going to experience in the next few years. If you're left behind, if you stick to your paper assets, if you stick to your stocks and bonds, property, etc., property is not a paper asset, but it's an inflated asset, then you're going to lose a major part of your fortune. And that's not really what investments are all about. So please, go away from the conventional assets, look at the real assets, buy gold and silver in physical form, and of course, store it safely outside the banking system.
See, that's why they're trying to scare everybody with this capital gains, 28% capital gains. Well, if you sell your gold and silver, it's a 28. Well, we're not really aiming to sell, maybe an ounce or two, maybe 5 or 6 ounces of silver, but that's not the object. We're buying it to hold and store. And what do you hear? Oh, 28% capital gains. That's only if you're like making 400 or 500 grand a year. It's not, if you're just making 50 grand a year or even 100 grand a year, you're probably in the 10 or 15% bracket. And therefore, it's not 28%. And it's only if you get 1099, which if you sell 1 or 2 ounces of gold, you're not going to get 1099. So why would you say it? And I always use the poker. If I go make $1,000 playing poker at MGM tonight, I'm not putting it on my tax return. Oh, I got to pay income tax on the 1,000 I made. Fuck no, I never do that. That's probably why the casinos are so popular, is it's tax free unless you had a $30,000 slot machine. Then you're going to get a 1099 or play in the World Series of Poker and finish on the final table and you make $1 million. Well, then you're going to 1099 you. Oh, well, okay. That's worth the risk. But the rest of it, if you just go play poker or I go play blackjack or red hits 12 times in a row at roulette, thank you. I'm not paying tax on that money. Should I pay tax on it? I don't know. Will I pay tax on it? Never. You tax me enough on my Social Security that I shouldn't be taxed on. You're not my partner, government. You think you're my partner. You're not. And I don't want you to be my partner. And I take the risk. I want the reward. So if I lose at poker, am I going to get a refund? No. So then why, if I win, am I going to get it? So that's the other thing. You're not my partner. And only when I win a big poker tournament or a big slot machine where they're going to pay me and I'm going to get the 1099, that's one thing. But just the normal day there, hey, I picked up $1,000 playing poker. There's no tax. So that's why people like that. But that's why they're trying to scare you with this capital gains tax. First of all, you're not going to get 1099 selling 1 or 2 ounces. So I really wouldn't worry about it. And I don't know why you would ever sell 50 ounces of gold. You've got to be out of your mind. That's not the intent. The intent is not to profit take it and get back into dollars. The intent is to sell an ounce or 2 here and hold on to the majority and watch the value go up. And now you're a millionaire because you have gold, where now it's worth 50,000 an ounce. That's what you're waiting for. And then even then, you're going to sell an ounce or 2 and you're set. But go buy an island. You can live with Hans Gruber and be getting 20% on laying on a beach. All right.
We're looking here at a collection of silver bars and gold bars and a few gold coins. So the silver bars are 1,000-ounce bars, and we got about 22 of them here on this table. And those 22 have the same value today, or actually less value than this gold bar. So the silver bars right now are valued at around 1.1 million, and that's 22,000 ounces of silver. One 400-ounce bar of gold is today valued at around 1.6 million. And as I pointed out many times before, in 1971, this gold bar could be bought for $14,000, $14,000. It doesn't show us how much gold and silver have gone up in price. It just shows us how badly managed our economy and the finances of the Western world especially have been. And it's actually the value of paper money that's gone down, not the value of gold and silver that's gone up. Now, this is too much for ordinary investors to buy. This is more for bullion banks, and therefore, and it's not practical either, because if you want to sell a bit, you have to shave a bit off the corner here, which is not the best thing to do with a gold bar. So therefore, you buy smaller bars, depending on how much money you have and what requirements you have. So you take this gold bar here, it's a 1 kilo bar. So 1 kilo is about $130,000 a day. But remember, these values will move very quickly. We're looking here now at the market when we expect gold and silver to go up exponentially. All of these bars here, whether it's gold or silver, will go up, in my view, by multiples in the next few years. And silver will lead. So silver will go up probably twice as fast as gold. So silver is a very good investment to have, but it's much more volatile. So we recommend maybe having 25-30% of your precious metals in silver and the rest in gold. So here we're looking at the bigger ones here, as I said, is 1 kilo bars. And like with all gold bars, you have the name of the refiner. And this is Ager Herreus from Switzerland. And then you have the serial number and you have the purity of the bar 9999. That means it's 99.99% gold in each one of these bars. Even that, as I said, for most investors is a lot of money today. These bars are bought by China, they're bought by India, are now the most common form of bar. But it's for all people, it's still a lot of money. And therefore, the little ones here, these are 100-gram bars. This is a very nice size, and we bought a lot of these for our clients because if you ever want to cash in a bit, let us say that the financial system has problems and you need a bit of cash for the next 6 months or whatever. This is a good bar to cash in because it's valued at around $1,300 today. So this is a very nice and relatively light bar. It's just 100 grams is about 3 ounces. But remember,
you meant 13,000, not 1,300.
You buy these bars for wealth preservation purposes. It is not an investment. It's life insurance, and it's a lifesaver. Here we see 2 coins. We take the gold coin, the beautiful 1 ounce gold coin. This happens to be a British coin. They're called Britannias, minted by the Royal Mint, and they actually count as money in the UK, which means that you actually don't have to pay capital gains tax on these, which you'd have to do on gold and on silver. So this is 1 ounce, and 1 ounce, as we know today, is around $4,000. So this actually little coin here is $4,000. Quite amazing, but also quite a nice reserve currency to hold if you're really strapped for cash ever, and good to use for barter. Now this is almost, you could say 4,000 is too much also to carry in your pocket, and therefore silver is much more practical to hold. So this is a 1 ounce silver coin. Now you can see that it's slightly bigger than the gold coin that here, slightly wider, slightly thicker, because the density of silver is half that of gold, just half. So that means that it takes a lot more space for the same weight. And of course, value-wise, you're talking here about $50. I don't think we'll stay that for long, but it's $50 a day as against here $4,000 for the gold bar. So this is a very practical way to keep some spare cash if you want, if there are problems in the financial system. So this should really be part of a wealth protection plan, also an important part of it, to hold some silver and some silver coins that maybe one day you need to spend when the banking system is not functioning properly. We expect this current monetary system to end in this era, whether that takes 5 or 10 or 15 years, who knows? Doesn't matter. But this is going to mean that your money in your pocket and your paper assets, stocks, bonds, etc., will fall dramatically. And now is the time to protect against that. And this is why you hold gold and silver in real physical bars, store it in vaults like this in Switzerland or in Singapore, where you have direct access to the vault in your personal name, they're held. So please, please remember, this is not about shining pieces of metal. This is about a life-saving investment in the times that we expect in the next few years. Thank you.
So one thing we know, this isn't a guess. We're not, maybe gold and silver will go up and maybe the dollar will collapse. We're getting in now because we know gold and silver will go up. We know the dollar will collapse, and I give you the reason, because they keep printing it. They don't have enough dollars. They got to print it to pay government employees every month, to pay the debt, interest on the debt, the $39 trillion in debt. They got to pay that. They don't have the money for it. So they got to print, which makes the money worthless. So your option is to get off the Titanic is to go on the lifeboat, which is the gold and silver. We know it's going to go up in value tremendously. So we're just saying accumulate as much as you can and don't worry about this capital gains tax, because who knows if the dollar's gone, how are they going to tax you? How are you going to pay your taxes? Well, I owe you $5,000. Oh, wait a minute. There is no dollars. So how are you going to pay tax? You ain't going to use Bitcoin. You're not going to use stable coin. So how are you going to pay taxes to the government if there's no US dollar? How are you going to pay your house mortgage? How are you going to pay your banks, your credit cards? There's no dollar to pay them with. So I can't pay you. I have gold and silver. Now, eventually I assume they'll make gold and silver money, and or they'll put gold and silver attached to your credit cards. So you go to Kroger's with the credit card, but instead of bullshit dollars, now it's silver and gold. Well, let's say mostly silver. And so you have the silver, which will pay for the groceries and the gas and everything else. It'll be far cheaper. Your $20 steak will be about 50 cents. The coffee, the milk, the butter, the eggs will be like 15 cents, 20 cents. It'll be back to the future. We'll all be back in 1971 when everything was, McDonald's was 50 cents for a burger and 25 cents for fries. And that's what'll happen. And that's why it's more expensive, is the dollar has continually lost value. So we know gold and silver are going up in value, but we know if we hold the dollars, they're going to lose value. We know the financial system's collapsed because it's collapsed since the Roman Empire every time. There's never been a financial system that's held, because as soon as they get off of gold, countries become big. France, England, Rome was because they had gold. And when they get off of that gold and they take all the gold out of it, they all collapse because they just keep printing dollars. Either they don't understand, or they're just like greedy, going, oh, I have all this worthless money. But that's the key. So you're really trying to get into gold and silver because you know it's going to go not even really up in value. You know it's going to maintain its value, but you know the dollar is going to go down in value. So you're making the only move you can. You're betting on Mahomes because you know he always wins. You're betting on, you bet on Seattle's defense because you know it was going to win. And that's what you're doing here. You know gold and silver is a lock. You know it's going to win. You know the dollar's going out. We're getting gold and silver going up, which is good, but we just want to have it. So the more gold and silver you have, the better it is. And so that's why you just keep buying it. And when they kind of reduce the price, it's so they can buy more, because they realize the dollar's gone. They realize the debt. They realize the only play is to buy physical. So when JP Morgan lowers the price, as he's done this week, and it goes down to $72, you go buy it. Because that's what they're doing. They're buying the silver and the gold. That's why they're shooting the price down, because they still control it with the options, which it shouldn't. We keep bitching, give me the physical and let's see gold go to 15,000 an ounce already. Well, it's going to get there, but they're still manipulating it because they want to buy more. And I don't know how much more there is to buy. I'll tell you the truth. China's got so much of it. BRICS, as I put in my description, has 75% of the gold is in BRICS countries, right? In their little central banks or whatever you want to call it. So if you know that, then that's what they're doing. So you don't panic and sell. You actually want to buy when it dips because you know it's going to be worth more. So that's today's lesson. Another spam. So let's check our gold and silver for today. It's weird how there's certain days it drops and certain days it goes up. Today's an up day. Let's see, loading. All right. So we're right at 5,000, 49.98, and we're basically 78, which is basically where we started. 5,078 is my little note there. So we got a little over 5,000 and it's holding, and we're going to 1 o'clock, and then gold there. Silver just jumped to 77.92. Let's see how high silver went. Silver got up to about 78.25. So we had a nice healthy run up from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And so now we sit at 77.80. So we're at about 80 there, or about 78. But we know it's going up. We have no fear of that. So it's a nice. So basically, silver's 5,000, or gold's 5,000. Basically, silver's 78, 80. It peaks down a little bit. They're still fucking around with options. Again, they're fucking around because they want to buy more. There's no other explanation. I don't know how much money they make. That one guy in China made 3 billion or 300 billion shorting the silver that one day when it went from 120 or 110 down to like 80. He shorted it and made all this money. Okay, fine, had your fun, but I don't think, I think when it jumps that high that quickly, you're going to get people like that. But that's the nature of COMEX. That's why we got to break COMEX. When COMEX breaks and we finally go to a physical market, you'll never see that because that will be retained by people selling. And nobody's going to sell gold and silver like that. They might sell an ounce or two, or they might sell a brick, but they're not going to sell enough to lower the price from $100 silver to $70. You know how much silver they'd have to sell? And then why? They wouldn't do it. Most people are buying it. Most people need it for industrial, and then for people like us who are buying it for protection and as an investment, really, to make money. So ignore this whole capital gains thing. First of all, it's not necessarily 28%. And secondly, it's only if you get a 1099. Oh, well, they'll know that you got the money on PayPal. No, they'll assume it's gold and silver. I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, they don't really know what you get on unless it's a real big amount. They don't really know what you're getting on Bitcoin, on a PayPal or Venmo. I get some payments on Venmo for Teaser King, and what are you going to see? $100 here, $200 here, 100, 200. What's that going to do? They're not going to pay attention to me. They're going to go after the big shooters because they don't have the staff, and they really, we can get this guy for $2,000. No, they're looking for a guy who's 2 million, right? So we're small potatoes. So I really wouldn't worry about it. Anyway, anything else? Hope that educated you. I know I've been touching a lot of problem solving lately, but I think it's very valuable. And as I'm watching these World Series of Poker, I'm also getting to the point of watching why these people are really going all in. Let's say, how many times you see Ace King go all in against Ace Queen? I mean, there was Phil Ivey against Darvin Moon, right? And Phil Ivey has ace king and he goes all in or whatever. And Darvin Moon calls with ace queen. Why? Why are you calling? You don't have a hand. You need to get lucky on the flop, which you caught a queen on the flop and hoped he didn't catch a king, but you had no reason to call. Just let him have the hand. You're playing to win the tournament, which means you don't want to risk all this money to win the tournament. You want to just he's all in with okay, ace queen's a nice hand, but it's not a hand until you. I want to see a flop with it. And if I got to go all in and then pray I catch the flop, that's not how you play. I don't buy gold and silver and pray it's going to go up. I buy it because I know it's going to go up. That'd be like buying Bitcoin. Well, I'll pray it goes from 67 up. Well, or maybe it goes to 60. So I'm praying, but why do that? Just invest in gold and silver. So Darvin Moon should never have played the hand with ace queen. That's why he lost, because he's fucking around with hands that are pretty, but there's going to flop 5 cards. And so you've got to, not that it's a bad hand, but just it's the all in. If it's just let me see the flop, then okay, did I flop it? Oh, you hit the queen. Okay, I got no king. I hit the queen. I got ace queen. He's got ace king. I hit the queen. Okay, I'll make a bet now. Now I'll make the bet. He doesn't know what I got, but to call it and pray that I catch it is just stupid, I think. I think you just watch it. But I notice a lot of that with the ace king is way overvalued. You still got 5 cards to come out, and you really don't want to go ace king and thinking it's a good hand. It's a good hand before the flop sometimes, but aces still beat it. Kings kind of beat it. Queens, you're winning. Any pair, you're winning. And if an ace or king doesn't flop, you're fucked. So why risk everything ace king pre-flop? Now, unless you're 4 or 5 big blinds left, then you have to, and it's a good hand to do it with. But you're dealing with, I don't know what Phil Ivey had in the hand, but he's out of his mind. Just make a bet. See if you catch the ace or king. And if you played it that way, and Darvin Moon calls and it comes with the queen, you didn't catch your ace, you didn't catch your king, you just fold, you lost, because he's going to bet on you with his queens and you're fucked. You're praying for, a 3-outer with the kings because the ace isn't going to help you. So then you're still in the tournament, and then you can wait for the right time to catch something. Or were you thinking, I'm going to pick up the blinds? And so if Darvin Moon has 7 deuce, he's not calling you, and then you win the hand. Well, you still didn't need to go all in on it. You bet maybe 3 million on it, because at that point, and then, you get the same action, but only it's much less risk than praying you catch an ace or king, or Darvin's praying he catches an ace or queen. That's not good. That's not smart. And I think that's why we don't see, like, I'm watching these later years and I don't know anybody. I basically watch it for 20 minutes and there's no Daniel or Phil or anybody. And fuck that. I don't care about Joe Blow from Indianapolis. I don't care if he wins or loses. I'm not going to learn anything watching his hand. So what's the point? And it's just, you don't see it. So to comment on rounders, when Matt Damon says, well, why do you think the same 5 players are at the final table of the World Series of Poker every year? Yeah, let's play that movie now. Why do you see no pros at the World Series? Do you think it's all luck? And the answer would be yes. And I'll leave you with this. I do think Chris Moneymaker was a fix. And you can see why. They let him win. He wins. He gets all the money. Sammy Farrar probably got 2 or 3 million behind. And everybody and their mother thinks they can win the World Series of Poker. And they keep having these unnamed guys win it. And you keep going, who cares? But I think they got 10,000 people at $10,000 a thing. Now you know why Chris Moneymaker won. Because everybody's going, I can't beat Phil Ivey and Daniel Negreanu and Johnny Chan. I got no chance. I'm not going to waste my money in that tournament. But when Chris Moneymaker wins and Joe Blow and Aussie, then hell, I can beat those guys. And that's what happened. It was the New York Jets, Super Bowl III. It was the same thing. It was to get If they can win, we can win. So keep that in mind. I know we're big into fixes, but that was the biggest fix, I believe. Anyway, John, say anything else on your Raiders? I guess not. So I hope you enjoyed. Any questions or comments before I leave? www.teaserking.com. I will see you tomorrow. 1:30. I had to get to the pool early yesterday as they had a swim meet at 3. Today and tomorrow are fine. And then Friday, there's a all weekend swim meet that starts at 2. So I got to get there by noon. So I might do the class in the afternoon as opposed to in the morning. I don't know. I'll see how I feel, but maybe I'll do it at 9 to 11 and then go swimming and see, and then go get barbecue for dinner. Otherwise, that's the thing. Again, just go buy the shit out of this. Go to somebody you trust who take a magnet the first time. No, it doesn't stick. And then he's got his little meter and you go, see, it's good. And you know it. And then you can trust the guy. He says, I'm not going to sell you fake silver. Then I'll have to go out of business because you'll sue me and I'll lose my store. I'm not going to do that. So, and I've taken him, like my wedding ring, I took him. And he checks it out and he goes, nope, it's real. And then I sold it for a half ounce. So I got a half ounce of gold for my wedding ring. This I will not sell. Although this is 3/4, this is 18 karat gold. So whatever silver's at 5,000 times 0.75, that's what this is worth. That's what he'll give me. And he's already measured it. He knows this is 1 ounce, but he knows it's only 18 karat of the 24. 75% is gold. The rest is copper and nickel and whatever else they use for the chain. So I always advise to buy the coins versus the jewelry, just because you're paying too much for the gold unless it's a specific jewelry thing. All right, so I hope you understood and learned about investments. Like I said, there's many types. The best is gold and silver. It's the least risk and the highest reward, which is how you invest. What's my biggest risk? I want to stay away from high risk. The ace queen hand. I got pocket aces I'm going to play. That's my best reward for low risk. Now you still get them cracked, but basically that's what you're looking for. So in investments, you're looking for what's the least risk with the most reward, and that's our friends in gold and silver. And you're not buying them to profit take. You're not hoping they go up and then you sell it. No, you're holding them because they're going to go up astronomically. So yes, you might have to sell 1 or 2 along the route, but the bulk of it you want to hold and not sell and watch the price go up. And then you'll buy an island with Hans Grumer, and he'll be earning 20%. You'll be earning 5,000% a year on your gold. And that's it. So have a great day. www.teaserking.com and enjoy. Have a nice day. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.